Now, if you're one of those people who doesn't mind looking at the same old dashboard year after year, then we've got just the ticket. Pat Goss in part 3 of his magical mileage tour. Pat?
Well, John, this time we're going to finish up our little 150,000-mile project. If you remember, we've been talking about all of the things that you can do as far as service and preventive maintenance that will probably make the car last for 150,000 miles. Now, this time we're under the hood of the car, and what can we do there? Well, the very first thing is right here, antifreeze, or coolant as it's referred to. You know, the modern automobile must have the cooling system serviced every 2 years or 24,000 miles. And when we talk about servicing the cooling system, what we're talking about is draining the antifreeze out of it, flushing it if necessary, and replacing it with fresh antifreeze. Also, keep in mind that the modern automobile must have antifreeze in the cooling system both winter and summer. It definitely doesn't function without it anymore. Okay, so much for that. Now, some of the other things that we'd want to check under the hood, right here first, this is the master cylinder. It's part of the brake system. It's right ahead of the steering wheel in the engine compartment, and it's what makes everything happen in the braking system. You want to follow your owner's manual or a service manual on how to check this, but in a general sense, you'd remove the cap and you'd look at the level of the fluid inside. In most cases, it would want to be about 1/4 of an inch below the top surface of the reservoir itself. If it isn't, top it off using the proper type of fluid for your car. All right, let's put that back together. Next thing is over here. We have to check the air filter. So we'll take the wing nut out of the center, and we take the top off of the air filter assembly here, and here we have the air filter itself. Now, this is something you can check yourself really quite easily. Probably the easiest way is right here. Just take a drop light, turn it on, and rotate it around the inside of the air filter. Make sure that you can see the light through the air filter all the way around. If you can't, then you probably need a new air filter. Make sure you change it because that has a big effect on the life expectancy of the engine. And let's don't forget this little unit right over here. It's in the same housing that the air filter is. It's a much smaller filter, and you have to look at it to make sure that it isn't all dirty and plugged up with grease and sandy-looking stuff. You know, if it is, it has to be replaced because that is the crankcase filter. It filters all of the air that enters the crankcase of the engine. That's what keeps the particles of dirt out of the oil. Put this back together. And, you know, there's one last thing that you have to check under here, and that's right back here behind the air filter, generally on the right-hand side of the car, and that is the dipstick for the automatic transmission. Every time you service the automobile, the transmission fluid should be checked. For the rest of what we have to do, we have to go around the side of the car, and we have to talk a little bit about the body. You know, it doesn't make a whole lot of difference what we do with the drivetrain. You know, we can make the engine and transmission and everything last almost indefinitely, but that doesn't do us any good if the body falls off the wheels. So we have to take care of the body as well. Now, how are we going to do that? Well, we're going to wash the car regularly, at least once a month, and we're going to wax it at least twice a year. But the wash department, well, we have to go a little bit beyond what most people generally do. You know, when you're washing the car, you always wash the flat surfaces. Well, flat surfaces generally don't rust. You know, what does rust is right here, places around the chrome and up inside the wheel wells and so on. So these are the places that you really want to pay attention to in washing. You take your garden hose and you direct the full pressure of the water up in behind the inner wheel well and so on. You'd also go along all of the chrome, every piece of chrome on the car. Go along the edges of it to flush any dirt or sand or anything that has collected in there, because that is where the rust comes from. All right, now we've washed the car. There's something else we have to do with the body of it. You know, the doors and hood and everything, they swing on hinges. Hinges that need lubrication. Now, to lubricate them, you're going to need this. White lithium grease. Comes in a spray can, very easy to use. See, we go back here to the door of this car. We can open it up. All right. Now, the first thing that we would lubricate with this is right here. Just spray it into the latch assembly. All right, then back here into the hinges and the door striker, where the latch comes onto the striker itself. Do this on all of the doors and on the hood and the trunk of the car. And this will make the hinges last almost indefinitely in most cases. Now, all of this can make for a car that lasts a long time. You know, I certainly wouldn't go so far as to say that doing what we have outlined in our little so-called magical formula would make every car last for 150,000 miles, but I definitely will tell you that if you follow our formula, that every car will last a whole lot longer than it would otherwise. Now also, by this time, you've probably realized that there really is no magic to our formula, just common sense.